Folks. It's cold. A little bit of snow. I went out and got some breakfast. And felt like talking about a movie I checked out yesterday. So if you'll indulge me here. So let's just get it out of the way. Spoilers. I'm not a pro at this. So I'm more than likely going to spoil things because I'm going to get rolling on talking about this movie because I thought it was fantastic. And once I get rolling on it, things are going to probably come out. Like, I'm just going to spew out that people are like, oh, you spoiled it. It is what it is. So I apologize. But fair warning, spoilers. So the movie I seen yesterday, 28 years later, Bone Temple. This is coming off last year's release, 28 years later, which I liked. I thought was pretty good. Ralph Fiennes was great in that. He's even better in this. Fantastic in this. I mean, he's great in everything. But if you've seen the first one, this picks up right where we left off. Right after Spike meets up with the Jimmies. Clearly, that... I don't know about you, but the whole ending of the last one with the Jimmies and the Power Rangers theme song and the flipping and the kicking and whatever was very out of left field to me. But when you look at the attire, the outfits of the Jimmies, clearly it's I don't want to say an homage to Jimmy Savile, but it's clearly a somewhat, clearly it's inspired by Jimmy Savile, which is, if you know anything about Jimmy Savile, the Jimmies kind of tie to that, where when you see them at the end of the first movie, you feel like, oh, these guys are here to help Spike. They're here to, they're good people. And just like Jimmy Savile, who for forever made it seem like he was this good person, TV personality, but actually was one of the absolute, I would say just as you see the lead Jimmy in this movie, just evil incarnate. He was an awful human. So clearly, being from England, Danny Boyle, clearly a nod to don't trust just because they seem like they're a good person. Just under the surface, they may be completely evil. Anyway. So Spike's now with the Jimmies, and clearly early on, he realizes he's in over his head. And there's going to be no way he can think of really getting out of this, because, the head Jimmy runs this with an iron fist in extreme violence, and he's evil incarnate. The guy is just, and that unravels into why he is, because of what he believes. And Spike is now wrapped up with this gang, and you're like, this is bad, and they seem to be moving on to pillage the land. And then you're taken and cut to Ralph Fiennes' character, Dr. Ian, I'm blanking on his last name, and he's still studying the Alpha, who he's now, I believe, I don't know if he named him in the last movie, but in this one, he calls him Samson due to his size and strength and his long hair. If you know, a lot of biblical references, imagery, somewhat religious Christianity mainly. Well, pretty much only, is used, and so Samson being the character adds up. The doctor's still studying him, and he's starting to realize there may be humanity still left in the infected, because he feels that this is an infection. You can cure it. And the one thing I really liked in this, they show the point of view of the infected through their eyes. Like, you're in Samson's point of view early on. And when Samson looks at normal people, he sees things a certain way, or uninfected people, he sees things a certain way. And that was nice to like get kind of a other side look, not just like everyone's going insane and just attacking you for no reason. There's kind of a reasoning for why they're doing this, and that's expanded on later into the movie too. And so he's working on this, and he's trying to find what he feels he can maybe find a cure. And he starts to kind of build a, I don't want to say friendship, but they kind of Samson and the doctor kind of, you know, they do their thing, and they kind of hang out, and he's trying to see how much humanity's left in this so-called monster, per se. And at that point in the movie, it switches back to the Jimmys, and now they are at this farmhouse, and there's a sequence in this barn, and Jimmy calls this charity to this they have to do to please old Nick. And these, I can take a lot of violence and gore, but this, what they do is just so gross and stomach turning, to the point that they actually have the Jimmys throwing up as they're doing this. It's a lot. And at that point, I was like, this relationship with the doctor and the alpha is so kind of goofy, and the Jimmys, if this is just going to be a movie of them just slicing people up, and like, I get it, you're there for the carnage, but this was just like, okay, this is gross. Like, this is just gross at this point. And it kind of took me out of it, and I almost was like, you know what, if this is the whole direction, do I even want to waste my time? Am I just going to get up and go? And then Jimmy starts to explain kind of the lore, we'll use that word, of why he is the way he is, and what he is doing this for, and who he believes he is. He believes that he is, to put it the simplest way, he believes he's the son of Satan, and he is trying to do these horrible acts to please his father, as he calls old Nick. And that pulled me back in, like, okay, now we have a point. We're understanding this guy who has grown up in complete carnage and hell on earth, believing that he is the son of Satan, that he is evil. He takes pride in that he is evil incarnate. I don't know if that's a way that he's explained how he's survived for this long, and he's do all these horrible, disgusting acts he does. He justifies them as, pleasing his father, old Nick. And that brought me back into, okay, this has depth to it now, not just we're gonna watch these psychos go around and kill people to kill people. And they start when you start getting to learn about the other Jimmys, and he has to have 7 fingers of his hand. It's a whole thing he does, and you understand the other Jimmys in the group. You realize a lot of these people are just they're nuts, and they're like Jimmy. But there's one person in the group with Spike who clearly is questioning it. Like, I don't know, is this any of this true? Is any of this real? Or is this just a way of controlling, and a scare tactic? Well, yeah, a scare tactic you could use. A way of just controlling people to run the world in the way that Jimmy feels he wants to control the world. And that shows she has some humanity, and she shows some pity on Spike, and realizes he's not made for this kind of life. He's a kid, he shouldn't be going through this absolute, just traumatic, horribly vile things that they're making him watch her do. And she kind of goes to his defense and saves him in a situation, and that brings about to Jimmy now meeting with Dr. Ian and realizing, oh no, old Nick doesn't really exist. And he's thought old Nick has been, this has been the story he's been telling these guys for however long, to just keep stringing them along, to keep doing these awful, horrible things. And now he doesn't know what to do, because this just normal man who is the polar opposite of Satan, who wants to fix the evil of the world, of the infection, and rid the world of the murder and chaos and carnage, he always felt was the devil on earth, like devil in human form. And it's like, it rattles him, and then he's like, I can't just go back to my people and say, oh no, it's cool, he's not Satan, no, he has to, because then he becomes weak, and they'll be like, well, then they question everything. So he will say, propositions Ian into playing this character of old Nick, and they'll return later to, have a, we'll call it ceremony, where they'll be introduced to old Nick, and there's rules of you can't talk to old Nick, only I can, and the whole facade of, I'm the only person. Well, there's probably more depth there if you think about it, but and at that point, the Jimmies are now waiting for the next day, and Ian also, you go back to the peaceful way of him, and he's developing something to try to cure the infection, because he has seen that Samson has made progress, that there is still humanity in him, and he believes this is a psychosis, that psychosis can be treated, and he's a doctor, so he's going to figure out a way he can treat this. And he comes up with medications, and he gives them to Samson, and Samson kind of wanders off, and Ian hopes that he's at peace, and maybe the meds worked and whatever. And Samson then wanders back to, I'm gonna guess, just out of the memory of the last memory he has, to the train cart that is featured in the first one, and he starts to have the memory of the last moments he remembers before everything went, the infection grew, and everything, just the world crumbled. And it's a really cool moment, and it ties into why he recognizes the thing he recognizes, that shows Dr. Ian there's still humanity in him, that there's a human, like, he's not just mindless. It's a psychosis, and it's cool that it gives a backstory to this alpha just monster, he was a human, he was a person, he was a child, to be honest. And it's a really cool moment to you, like, okay, you're getting a backstory to this alpha infected person that you felt you would probably never, doesn't have a backstory, and it humanizes him. And after that, we swing back to the Jimmy's meeting with the doctor, and this movie has a fantastic soundtrack. The songs they chose for this were great. But the choice they make for this meeting between the two and the performance that Ralph Fiennes puts on, which is just, it might be the highlight of the entire series of the movies. It's so good and it's so fun, and it's so believable if you didn't know this guy was just a person and not the devil. Like, he just is unbelievably cool in the way that he scares all that, like, oh, this guy is Saint Nick, or Old Nick. He is the devil. Truly, like if you were there, you would be like, yeah, this dude's for real. This is no joke. And they have an interaction where Jimmy is trying, you know, I'm the only one that can talk to Old Nick, and so he's relaying, you know, oh, what are the things they've discussed this, and these are the rules that Old Nick is going to tell them. And as they're going through this, the doctor realizes that the masked Jimmy is Spike, and he asks Jimmy to do something, which Jimmy's going to absolutely deny, or he's absolutely going to, no, that's not happening. And then all hell breaks loose, kind of, and we'll leave it at that. And then you get it all. Everybody's storyline pretty much wraps up, and Spike stories, except for Spike's, his story is going to continue. And then there is I don't know how you want to put it. There's a surprise. I mean, it might not be a surprise. I think a lot of people know that a certain person is in this movie, but it's cool. This is how this is going to tie together. Okay, then, and you're like, this is great, and it just gives you a cliffhanger ending. But it left me like excited for the next one. I want to see where this is going, because I went from, in the first act of this movie, nearly walking out thinking this is gonna really go nowhere, to maybe putting this as the best or second best behind 28 Days Later. I loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Ralph Fiennes was so good, and the guy, I can't think of his name, the guy that plays Jimmy, oh man, like, I don't know how someone can to just make a character just so vile and evil, and like, it's like, dude, where does that come from? But kind of scary. But yeah, I would recommend going and checking it out. It's a fantastic, especially if you like these movies. I think this is but I think it could be very polarizing, that people would like, well, I'm here for the infected, not these character studies, but to me, it might be the best one. I had a lot of fun. You got to make it through the first act, because once it goes, it makes that shift. It's like 0 to 60. You're now in. Go. Like, it's 0 to 7, more like 0 to 100. You just hammer on the gas at that point. And it's a lot of fun. You want the gore. It's very, very gory, very bloody. Like I said, there's a barn scene that, just couldn't. It was a lot. Like, and I can take a lot, but that was yeah. But yeah, if I were you, go check it out. I think it's well worth your time.